Hey, folks, my guest today is Benedict Eicher. He's building Flexcavo.de, a construction consulting business coming from a family business in construction. He moved into consulting at McKinsey after his bachelor's and master's, now following the vision of enable intelligent construction using Flexcavo. Benedict, you ready to take us to the top?
Yes, sure. If you start
So,
a company, you always want to disrupt in a certain industry. And you already said it. My short pitch is always construction, consulting. Construction is born and raised in a construction family. I was eager to go back into that industry where I'm very passionate about to shake things up a bit.
so just to be clear, you're writing code software to help construction companies manage projects easier, or what does it do?
So in the end, we're building a platform to foster and enable intelligent construction, and we connect two things. We connect equipment and technology. So yes, we're writing code for machinery fleets. These machines are on a construction side the only reliable data source. On the other hand, we operate as well as asset-enabled business, so we can provide assets too. So it's both sides of the business, the asset business and the software business. Because in the end, I truly believe that the world belongs to those who build, and if you want to be the number one partner for construction companies, only code won't bring you far because
So
our
does
clients.
Flexcavo own a fleet of trucks and power tools and construction equipment?
Indeed, trucks not, but the typical power equipment. So from small dumpers, loaders to large scale excavators, we indeed own them.
Interesting. How much, if you add up the price you paid, right, the inventory value of everything you hold on your balance sheet, how much is that?
Way above 10 million. Way above 10 million.
So are you rich? I mean, where'd you get the money to buy all that equipment?
Obviously not equity. VCs would kick my ass if I would spend my equity on machines. It's debt. So it's a structured debt. The good thing there is, we all know car financing. It works pretty much the same way. So we secure our assets with put options, and then we simply have our partner banks that finance our assets. And
I
then
see.
we use them over a lifetime of 4 to 7 years. We act basically as a subscription model here. And after 4 to 7 years, we give them on a secondary market and sell them.
Smart. And how many unique pieces of equipment do you have? Like thousands or?
Over 400 on our own fleet. However, we manage over 10,000 pieces or units for our clients.
Oh, so if someone else owns 3 dump trucks, they can list them on your marketplace and you'll help them find work.
We're not in a P2P place, so we exclusively work with construction clients. And if you're a construction company, the typical split would be 60% your own machines, 40% rented machines. And we help construction companies in the whole process of planning and then executing a construction site from a machinery perspective. So you can allocate your machines, and as well, in that process of allocation, you might lack a machine, so we can provide you that machine. But we're not in the business of P2P where you say, okay, I have 3 idle to rest. That's not our business model.
And so what do you make more money on, renting out equipment or selling software to construction companies?
I always look at it from a gross margin perspective. If you look at the pure revenue side of the business, obviously the renting part is quite strong because you can charge quite high daily rates for big excavators. However, on a gross margin perspective, it's a 50-50 split. So we always aim for growing both sides of the business. However, SaaS, there are different contracts in place. And if I would compare 1 million SaaS ARR versus 1 million asset ARR, different gross margins are there. And for us,
Yeah.
in the end, gross and contribution margins are key to manage our burn.
Interesting. Okay, so let's just talk about SaaS for a second, move away from assets. What do the construction companies pay you on average per month or per year to use your software?
That pretty much depends on the size of your business. Obviously, if you're a small company, we're going to charge you a simple, small monthly fee, and then it scales with the number of units you want to manage. So let's say, depending on the framework contract, it's a certain fixed amount of euros per month per unit, and then you can actually opt for further services like telematics or others.
Oh, what's going on there, YouTube? Good to see you guys. Now imagine this. You love watching these interviews with SaaS founders, but imagine if we took all of the valuation data out from over 2,807 interviews I've done manually. Saves you a lot of time. Well, we've done this. We've built it into the beautiful interface inside of FounderPath. Check this out. I'll show you how you can access this in a second, but you log in, you connect your Stripe account, you see your valuation real time, you can see what it changed over the past 88 days, and even set goals for valuation this year. Now, the secret to valuation is there's many different ways to value a SaaS business. So the reason you're going to see 3 or 4 different valuations inside of your Founder Path dashboard, this is all free by the way, is because depending on who's doing the buying of your SaaS company, you're going to get a different valuation. A VC is going to pay a different valuation. Private equity firm is different. If you're going to do a minority sale, that's different. And if you sell the whole business, that's a different valuation. You can see all those when I hover over here. Right, so the teal is what a VC would pay, yellow is what private equity, and red is if you sold the whole thing outright. Now, what's cool about this is not built off random data. Again, you guys hear these interviews on YouTube. All these data are built from real-time valuation data points founders share with us on the show. So traction, 1.2 million, seed round, 3.7 raise, they sold 22% of their business. Go in here and filter by the event. Maybe you only want to see companies that have sold the whole business. Well, here are a bunch that have been acquired, the valuation and the multiple. Maybe you're going out right now and you're raising your seed round. Well, go in here and look at all this recent seed deals that went down, what they raised, what valuation they raised at, and what percent that they sold. There's never been a larger data set of SaaS valuations than what you can get now inside of Founder Path, and we're thrilled to bring it to you. All right, we're going to go back to the YouTube video here in a second, but if you want to check this tool out, if you want to jump in and sign up, you can check it out for free to get your valuation at this link, founderpath.com/products/valuations. Or if you go to founderpath.com and hover over products, click on get your valuation here and go ahead and sign up to give it a whirl. Again, all that valuation data live right inside the platform. I hope to see you there. All right, let's jump back into the interview.
What is the fixed per euros per month per unit?
It ranges between 200 and 1,000 per month. But then obviously the bigger contribution goes towards the number of assets we manage for the client and we help them manage.
Okay, got it. So I'm not sure I'm following this yet. So if someone has like 4 dump trucks that they want you to manage for them, right? So they're paying 4 units times 200, so fixed euros per month per unit.
It's a base flat fee basically. So no matter how many units you've got, the base fee for the software itself, and then on top per unit. And
I see.
As a note, for dump trucks, it wouldn't make sense. So for dump trucks, you simply can manage them yourself. We're rather in the business of helping clients with 50 plus units, up to 20,000 units currently with the biggest client. Imagine you've got 100 construction sites and all need to be up and running, because as a construction company, your key enemy is downtime. And managing this network from a perspective, I need certain units at certain places at certain times. These days, it's mainly done by pen, paper, and whiteboard. And we help them in the process of allocating those machines, managing their flow within their network, and automating workflows. Because obviously, if you use pen, paper, whiteboard, and a phone, you can't really digitize and automate a workflow. However, it's always the same workflow. I need a unit, I request the unit gets transported, it arrives, I use the unit, and then I'm going to send the unit back to my central location.
Interesting. So your sweet spot then, our company's paying you like around $1,000 a month to manage some number of 50 plus units.
I would say the typical monthly rate is about 1,000 up to 5-digit sum. It really depends on the number of units. I mean, if you're a client with...
What I'm really asking though is what does the average customer of FlexCavo have in terms of number of units? I'm trying to get like your sweet spot. I understand there's a range.
Our sweet spot would say our sweet spot starts with like 100 units and then up to 10,000 units. And
okay, so what would I pay for 100 units?
For 100 units, you would pay, depending on what kind of service you would opt for, somewhere in between, let's say, 500 and 1,500 euros per month.
Okay, fair enough. So call it maybe like 2,000 USD per month. Now, if we add up all the units you're currently managing across all your customers, how many are you managing?
Currently, way above 10,000.
Wow. Okay, got it. So, okay, cool. So, and are there power laws there? What does your largest customer manage on your platform? How many units?
Our largest customer would say that customer goes in the high 4-digit ranges that's managed by us.
Okay, so I mean, that could be 9,000.
We are basically, it's much like McKinsey there. We don't disclose the numbers of our customers because obviously, if you're talking to construction companies, data security is key concern for them.
Well, yeah, obviously, I'm not asking you to name the customer. I'm asking you, your largest customer, how many units they manage on your platform, and you said high 4 figures. So I mean, I'm just saying that could be 8,000 or 9,000 units from one customer.
let's say it's somewhere between 6 and 9,000. There we've got the point. And I mean, it's fluctuating. I mean, it's fluctuating basically month per month because they buy units, they sell units. So as a construction company, you don't have a fixed number of units that you're going to opt for the next years. It really depends on the state of your project as well as the procurement state.
I mean, but the reason I asked that question though is you are very dependent on this one customer. There's a lot of concentration risk here.
True. That might seem that way. However, we started to market the software fully beginning of that year, so we're currently ramping up sales. I mean, we've been doing founder sales quite for a long time. So if you look at the rental part of the business, that has been started earlier because it was easier to ramp up. You simply need to convince the banks to give you debt, and then you go on the market and you work with customers. There we work with more than 100 customers in the rental perspective. The software obviously took a while to conceptualize and then to code. We used our own fleet to test it. So since February, I would say we're in commercial mode, and now we're ramping that up. I mean, there hasn't been the typical SDR AE setup, so we're currently hiring a full B2B sales team to ramp up our software sales activities. So I wouldn't say concentration risk. It's a simple matter of where are you in the scaling phase.
Well, there's 6,000 units and you're managing 10,000 total. 6,000 with one customer is concentration risk. 60% of the units you manage is with one customer. Obviously, that's diversifying over time, but
that's a snapshot of as of today.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm asking. I understand, obviously, you're diversifying over time, but today there's concentration. And then when you say there's 100 customers on the renter side of the marketplace, what does that mean? Like last month, 100 unique construction companies rented at least one unit from you?
Correct.
Okay, interesting. And then put this on a timeline for me. Benedict, when did you guys launch the business?
So we started talking about the business 2019. We went into really working on that 2020. We raised our first in June, July 2020. And then we started building the business as of June, July 2020. We raised another round in February 2021. And then recently, end of last year, we closed our seed round. So that's the equity fundraising timeline, and obviously accompanied by our debt.
And so in 2020, what was that pre-seed round? How much did you raise?
We raised roughly 500 million euros. 500 million, 500K. 500 million would be nice. So it's 500K euros.
$650,000 in your pre-seed round. Now, why did you need that money? What makes this expensive to build?
We thought about bootstrapping in the beginning, to be honest. However, you need to have a quick land grab there, and it was a simple consideration of speed. We've seen a lot of contacts in the States and other countries, and we said, okay, we've got the concept. Before we actually raised the round, we had LOIs, we talked to customers, so we pretty much knew what we need to build. And then it was a simple consideration of how quick do we need to be in terms of execution to make a land grab and not allow other players in the market to try to figure out their own solutions. Because obviously, if you're in a construction space and you're attached to machines, OEMs could do some things, other rental players could do some things. So we decided we need money from the start, basically from pre-seed phase, to quickly ramp up the team. The initial money was mainly spent on tech. And
how much did you raise in your seed round?
Seed round was in total 5 million euros. And in between, we had an angel round with 1.5.
Okay, sorry. So again, 650,000 raised in 2020. In early 2021, you did an angel round of 1.5 million, or about 2 million USD.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 2 million USD. And then you recently did a Series A round for 6 million USD.
Series A, Series C, depends how you call it. We call it Series C because pre-seed angel round, the angel round was a convertible, and then a seed, or if you may call it Series A, you can call it Series A in September 2021.
And most folks, most folks in their seed round these days are selling 10 to 20% of the business. Were you guys sort of in that same range?
I mean, market usual dilution there.
Market usual dilution, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So call it like 10 to 20%. I mean, so something between like a 15 and 20 million valuation is what you raised that on.
Yeah. I mean, if you take the market usual, then that's the right number.
Yeah. Great. And then fast forward to the September round, right? So 6 million. How much of this is you raising capital so that you can support your debt facility versus you raising capital to invest in like engineering to build the software?
I mean, debt facility is basically paid off by our machines. So we don't use equity to cross-finance machines. We calculate basically on a debt coverage ratio, and our machines have a typical debt coverage ratio between 1.5 and 3x on debt. So the debt service is paid off by the machines, and then the machines as well cross-finance with a gross margin our operations there. So
just be clear, if the asset value of your machines is $3 million, you can raise $1 million in debt. That's a 3x coverage ratio.
No, I mean, when we talk about revenue power, I mean, if you look at the revenue of the assets, we always calculate how much on top of the debt service are we actually making revenue, and that's a 3x. So basically, the remainder can be used to finance operations there.
I see. Okay, cool. And then I guess going back to the overall business, you signed up your first customers back in 2020. How many today are paying to use the platform?
How many are today? There we've been walking in the range between 10 and 20.
Okay, got it. So cool. So okay, now the concentration risk makes sense then, right? So it makes sense that you've got one customer that it makes up like the bulk of your inventory.
In the end, what we opted for is we opted for a co-creation. I mean, obviously, we can sit in Berlin and then design a nice software and then try to launch it and make customers use it. However, construction works differently. So we really sat on a table with construction clients, talk to them, try to figure out what are the pain points, and then co-create a software that is used by the construction folks. Because if you talk to the CFO, to the CEO, they might like the software. However, the real user of that is in the end the foreman on a construction site. They need to understand how they tick, because if you simply sell a software, in the after sales and customer success, you will fail and they will churn if the foreman doesn't want to use your software.
That makes sense. So just to be clear again, 2 revenue streams. You got 15 customers that pay you to manage all of their assets, whatever, equipment, things like that. They pay on average, call it $2,000-3,000 a month. You then have another model where you rent out that equipment and you make a margin on the rental of an excavator for a day.
Correct. And I mean,
I see.
They are not siloed models. In the end, you could look at it like that. You have asset-only customers, you have software-only customers, but our goal is always full-service customer. You manage the machines, your own machines via our platform, and we supply you with machines, because for construction companies, it's way more convenient to switch CapEx to OpEx.
Now, if you have 15 customers paying $2,000 a month, this is just on the software side, that would put your monthly recurring revenue at about 30,000. You mentioned earlier your gross margin profile is 50-50, right? So assuming the margin profile in software is 80-85%, that means on the rental side of the business, you're doing somewhere around, call it $700,000-800,000 in a run rate today in terms of new rentals per month. Is that about accurate?
I mean, it's an average number there. And I said the target split is 50-50. I mean, it depends on seasonality. Construction is seasonal. So in the winter months, you have low utilization on the assets, in the summer months more. But I would say on average, that holds true.
But yeah, so when you add up both your monthly recurring SaaS today plus your rental volume monthly, you're doing something like $80,000-90,000 a month right now in revenue.
I would say no. It's monthly revenue is above that. So monthly revenue is already 6-digit if we add up software and rental.
Yeah. That's great. Okay, so what do you think you can grow at? Like, what percent you think you can grow the business this year?
I mean, the clear goal is basically surpassing on an overall basis the 300K monthly revenue, adding both streams up. And obviously, I mean, from a rental perspective or from the subscription perspective, we already locked in the orders for 2022 with regards to our units. We know what unit base we're going to achieve there. So it's a simple utilization game there and execution game. And then on the software side, it's then a function of the B2B SaaS sales team.
Yep. And
if you're doing all know the numbers for solid Series A. So VC is going to ask you for Series A for above 1 million ARR. So that's obviously the hit number for the software.
Yep. Now, if you're doing over $100,000 a month in revenue today combined, what were you doing about a year ago? Do you remember?
A year ago, I would say we recently did the analysis. I think from Q1 2021 to Q1 2022, we grew 18x.
18x, got it. So I mean, you were doing something like, you were almost like 7,000 a month a year ago, something like that.
Roughly.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of growth the past 12 months. It makes sense why you've raised the capital you've raised. Obviously, dilution's not a fun thing though, right? So when you raise 6 million, right? I mean, you're selling at probably another 15% of the business there.
I mean, in the end, it was a convertible note plus a seed round. So the convertible note was packed to the seed round. But in the end, I truly believe if you're building a category leader, everyone will be buying off in the cap table. So if you can manage then the illusion, and honestly, for me, it's rather a passion topic. So I'm not thinking about exit. I'm thinking about the passion in the industry. I mean, born and raised there, brother's a civil engineer, father's doing the family business. So I rather care about building a solution that helps really construction clients to build more smarter. And that's kind of like my key motivation. I mean,
sure. I understand passion, but when you're raising this amount of money, you have a board. And if you're passionate about doing project A and the board says we hate project A, well, guess what? You can't build your passion anymore. You're listening to the board because you give up control.
That's fair.
Right?
So, I mean, but there are market average things that you can actually then try to argument against. And in the end, I mean, what I always tell as well my board is it's fine, but in the end, it's a different kind of beast, the construction industry. It is not the typical B2B sales industry. It's not fintech. So different forces are in force.
Benedict, we're out of time here. So like quick things just to get more context. Are you sole founder?
No. I'm one of two founders. So I'm rather on the business
Two
side.
founders. And did you guys split 50-50 at the start?
Yeah, for sure.
Very cool. Okay, that's great. And then how many folks full-time are on the team today?
Last number, I would say 55, but quickly growing full-time.
How many engineers?
I would say roughly 40% of the team are engineers.
Okay, got it. So call it 20%, 20 of them are engineers. That's great. And how many folks are on the sales team yet? Are you still building that?
On the sales team, I would say on the rental sales team, we've got 7 sales team members. On the sales team for the SaaS solution, we recently made a lot of hires. So that team will be as well in the upper single digit range. And then both teams growing to 2-digit ranges within the year.
Okay, got it. So like 14 on the combined sales team, something like that. We'll see what happens next. I love the combined model. Let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, favorite business book.
Hard Things About Hard Things.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
Yes, I would say CEO I'm following is Jeff Bezos, and as well a lot of construction CEOs to just keep up with the industry.
Number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building FlexCavo?
My favorite online tool for building FlexCavo,
Yep.
I would say for me it's Slack because communication is key.
And number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
Depends. I try to get 8. However, I think on average it's rather 6.
Okay. And what's your situation, Benedict? Married, single, kids?
Single.
Okay. And how old are you?
I'm 30.
30. Last question. Something you wish you knew when you were 20.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Something you wish you knew when you were 20.
It's in the end, you just need to be consistent, and I think consistency beats motivation there. And being consistent gives you then actually power to reach what you want.
Guys, he helps 15 construction companies manage 10,000 pieces of equipment. Think excavators, things like that. When those companies aren't using them, he helps them rent them out. He makes money on both sides, the renting, and also those 15 customers pay about $2,000 to $3,000 per month to use his technology to make sure they have full utilization. He's doing over $100,000 a month right now in revenue in the combined model, up from $7,000 a month just a year ago. So nice growth. They just got done raising their $6 million Series C. They've got about 8 million, 9 million total raised to date. We'll see what happens next as our team of 55 looks to grow and expand. Benedict, thanks for taking us to the top.
Thank you, Nathan.
One more thing before you go. We have a brand new show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. It's called Shark Tank for SaaS. We call it Deal or Bust. One founder comes on, 3 hungry buyers, they try and do a deal live, and the founder shares back-end dashboards, their expenses, their revenue, ARPU, CAC, LTV, you name it, they share it. And the buyers try and make a deal live. It is fun to watch every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. Additionally, remember, these recorded founder interviews go live. We release them here on YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Central. To make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below here on YouTube, the big red button, and then click the little bell notification to make sure you get notifications when we do go live. I wouldn't want you to miss breaking news in the SaaS world, whether it's an acquisition, a big fundraise, a big sale, a big profitability statement, or something else. I don't want you to miss it. Additionally, if you want to take this conversation deeper and further, we have by far the largest private Slack community for B2B SaaS founders. You want to get in there. We've probably talked about your tool if you're running a company or your firm if you're investing. You can go in there and quickly search and see what people are saying. Sign up for that at nathanlatka.com/Slack. In the meantime, I'm hanging out with you here on YouTube. I'll be in the comments for the next 30 minutes. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. We get a lot of haters that are mad at how aggressive I am on these shows, but I do it so that we can all learn. We have to counter those people. We got to push them away. Click the thumbs up below to counter them and know that I appreciate your guys' support. All right, I'll be in the comments. See ya.